Hey guys, what's up? It's Justin, aka Diego, and it is Monday. And like I said, I am joined by a fellow tank of mine, and we are going to be doing a little Q&A. I'm going to ask him some questions and stuff, but before we get any further, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
Hello, hello. This is Caine from the Guild of Monomarth over at the Dark Iron server, and I play as a Paladin tank. We're one of the top guilds on the server.
Yep, and I actually came across his channel and saw that he was pretty knowledgeable in all areas of tanking, not just that. Go ahead. You have a couple other classes. What other classes do you have that tank at 80?
The tank at 80 right now, I have a warrior as well as a DK. Both of them can tank Icecrown Citadel, and I'm currently leveling a druid, same for the same purpose.
Yeah, so he's as for other classes, he's a little bit more knowledgeable, and that's why I thought it'd be cool to have him on here and stuff. But for people that might not know you too well, why don't you go ahead and like how long you've been playing? Go ahead and give some background, like maybe why you started. Is your paladin your main, or was it always your main, or?
All right. Well, my Paladin is definitely my main. I started playing WoW about maybe a month before it came out when the open beta test came out. Started with a Warlock, and once Burning Crusade came out, I tried to do some dual boxing, and I 5 box. I created a whole new tunes. Caine was one of them. Did a 5 boxing team to do dungeons, and what ended up coming to that was Caine. I ended up dropping the multi-boxing and just stuck with Caine, and he became my main through all of Burning Crusade and all of Wrath.
Yeah. So definitely been playing longer than me. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with me as much as or this is your first time, but I started playing around the like BC area, so Kane definitely has a little bit more. I guess you could say he's more of a veteran to the game than I would be, but. But so okay, so one of the questions I want to ask you is, why don't you go ahead and elaborate on like maybe some of the pros and cons about the different taking classes that you have. Your 80s, your Death Knight and Warrior. Like, which ones you like in what types of situations and so on and so forth. Different types of mechanics that make one class maybe better than the other class. So go ahead and just, what do you think about that?
All right, the starting with the Paladin, since that's both of our mains.
Right.
That is, by far, and what everybody pretty much acknowledges as the primary AOE tank, or the best off tank to handle ads.
Right.
We have we have the strongest AOE capabilities to hold the threat from multiple mobs, as opposed to a warrior and a death knight. I think only maybe like a druid would be come a close second, because all they got to do is spam swipe.
Yeah, swipe, so swipe.
But we also have, one of the main thing that makes Paladin tanking great is that our rotation is pretty much static. We don't need to wait for procs. We don't have to wait for certain cooldowns. It's 69 rotation all the way through. Multi-mobs, single mobs, doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
But we do sacrifice certain things in the sense that almost all of our abilities are spells. And one thing, most of the time that's not a problem, but like when you're facing, say, Lich King and you're trying to tank Venging Spirit or Raging Spirits, excuse me, that really starts to bite you, because
Yeah.
when a Raging Spirit hits you, as any tank who's tried to do that, to tank those Raging Spirits,
Yeah.
can attest to, it silences you. Cannot taunt, and as for a Paladin, the only thing you can do is Hammer of Righteousness for like 4 seconds.
Yep. That's probably one of the only cases I felt that a paladin was really just not the best choice for tank, and mind you, it's an ad, so it's not a huge deal, but I mean, it makes me QQ all the time because I casually PvP and stuff like that, but I do it in my PvE gear. But being silenced as a paladin, especially being a tank where you have all instants, it's just to me, it doesn't really make too much sense. I hate being silenced. And it's like, really, I can't use anything and it's the most frustrating thing, especially on the Raging Spirits though. But that's why I don't know. Do you tank them in your 25 man? Because I don't.
We do, we do, and this exact issue has been brought up, and what we basically do is the rogues take turns. One rogue or one of the warriors, not warriors, excuse me, hunters, will ensure that they throw misdirects on me, and not just me, but for all the tanks when their time is right, because we have a set order of who picks up what Raging Spirit, so that way threat is not an issue.
Right. All right. Well, since we're on that this might be a nice little segue. Probably not, but since we already talked about Lich King, what is your favorite and your least favorite fight in Ice Crown? It could be either heroic or non-heroic. So.
My favorite fight right now is Professor Putricide. It's been my favorite ever since I fought him the first time, and it's still been my favorite despite the hard modes.
Right. And what would you say your least favorite fight in there so far is?
The one you warned me about, the Lady Death Whisper right now.
Yeah, I talked to Caine before we did this little video, and I think I talked to him about 10 minutes about how much Lady Death Whisper Heroic made me emo, and that's by far my least favorite fight. Even after all the 5% and 10% buffs, it's just, man, it made me pull my hair out, what little hair I have.
Agreed. We were trying it, and it was insane. Trying to throw our heads against the wall there.
Yeah, definitely. The most demanding tank fight, I would say, predominantly because you're dealing with multiple changing events. Always new ads and stuff like that. When you're dealing with one boss, it's pretty simple, but I mean with 4 or 5 ads, and it gets kind of hectic and heinous.
I'll tell you what, the close runners-up would be Valithra.
Yeah.
Especially if they on heroic mode, when things start getting slow, the healing starts slowing down. The ads just get very hectic, because we generally 2 tank it, 1 tank on each side.
Yeah, we had to switch over to 3 tanks for our heroic mode kills, and put me just predominantly on the A bombs, and just like when the worms came out, you just do your AoE thing as a paladin, like you mentioned before. But other than that, I mean, it was. We tried 2 tanking it. It was pretty hectic. It was healers getting gibbed and a lot of emo raginess.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was the same thing going on our side. Yeah. But what we ended up doing is tanking the ads on where the suppressors would go. But in any case, the other one that would also be a close second for, or prime for, one that I hate is Rotface. If you're playing as the tank that has to manage the ad.
Yeah, that's what I do, and every week, you're right. That job is not fun at all. Do you have to cleanse? I have to cleanse too, which makes it even worse.
I have to cleanse as well.
Oh man, I can't wait till in Cataclysm. I'm pretty sure Prot is losing the ability to cleanse. Prot and Rets are. I'm like, I just wish they would have changed that for that fight. Yeah, I wish they would have changed it for that fight. I was like, so I could just one less thing I have to worry about. But speaking of which, the preview for Paladin Cataclysm came out. What do you think about that on the whole Paladin class change?
I like it for the most part. I'm not generally a PvP person, but like for Blinding Shield, that and the possibility that Prot might get it as an instant cast, it makes me giddy. I don't know other way to put it.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is it sounded like it's going to be like a Holy Wrath type thing, I would think, but I'm not sure if that disorient effect is going to be broken on damage or not, or how it's exactly going to work. But it just sounds like it's another kind of Holy Wrath, but for every kind of mob, not just undead mobs. That's kind of what it sounded like to me for Prot.
That does kind of what it sounds like. The only thing is if they made it so that way it was like a Holy Wrath, but could also be used on players, like an actual AoE stun, so long as they're looking at you. That's pretty rough in PvP. I personally don't think that they'll do something like that. But a break on damage, I believe that's kind of how blind works, correct? Right? I'm not too familiar with rogues.
Yeah, that's how blind works.